Oh, here we are again now, and it's like no time has passed. Gazing out upon the sunset as it sinks into the night. Many times it seemed as though a given day might be our last. Face to face with certain death, it's somehow coming out alright. I don't think that we have any cause to lament, but there's quite a lot of thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent, thrilling intent.
The capital of Tanhauser is a glorious city called Bosch. It is this multi-tiered, tribute to extravagance in many regards that sort of represents the feudal system that has dominated Tanhauser for generations. The outside is sort of rural, or it used to be. These outskirts were more forested and woody, and it is where mostly, like, craftsmen, etc., like, farmers lived. People who kept the capital running. As you got further inside, it became more built up. You got to markets, administration buildings, etc. Mercy, this is where you were stationed. And then, of course, there was the Grand Palace at the center. Only accessible to Aasimar and their tiefling aides. That place is somewhat familiar to you, Marcus. Your father actually took you there, as he was the direct aide of the king. The tower now sits where the palace once was.
Oof.
You now walk into those more scenic outskirts. Long and sloping hills and these slight babbling brooks actually come around you, choked by this thick dust. And you finally come to the gates, a place that separates the farmland from the city itself.
Well, that looks about the same.
You doing okay?
Yes, I'll be fine. I just...
If you need a moment, just...
We don't have it.
We
don't have it, yeah.
Okay.
Well, we can walk and talk.
Guys, I meant like a 30-second wait of silence or something. I'm not trying to make us
we
break.
can take one of those once we're under a roof.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Harlock is immediately drawn to whatever these claw marks are on the floor.
Yeah,
they're big scratches in the ground.
Mm.
Disruptions in the dust, and Harlock, you're as everyone walks forward, your eyes are drawn to them. This ugly scrawl through the ground that almost seems to be drawn with the tip of something, and your immediate thought is, oh yeah, the tip of a spear. These things use spears, and then weird. Why were they dragging their spears across the ground here? And your eyes sort of wander, and you look at Marcus for a second. But,
Hi.
It fixates on something behind him. Those long gashes, those claw marks, actually meet up to the outer wall. And carved into its surface, into the very stone itself, again and again in this scratchy, ugly handwriting, clearly something or someone drawing or trying to write with an implement that is not conducive to forming words, is the phrase again and again, Oathbreaker. This twitching, hideous type.
Ooh.
Huh.
That's not a good thing to see carved into a wall.
Mercedes, this is new.
Mercedes, do you know anybody who's broken any oaths lately?
Yeah, do you know anybody nearby or from the capital who might be described as an oathbreaker?
Or anybody who's named Oathbreaker?
Yes, that too. Great point.
Not immediately, although that sort of phrasing is curious, especially considering how many Aasimar lived in this town. I suppose you're not entirely aware. Aasimar, there are two big things about Aasimar. Virtue, which I've already explained being my empathy ability, as well as oaths. At a certain age...
Oh, I thought one of them was a holier-than-thou attitude. Huh?
Unfortunately, that is just a thing they do. Marcus, we are going to have a discussion later because, believe me, it annoys me. But anyways...
Oh, I was mostly joking, but I'm certainly up for that. That was my joke, yeah.
But, Aasimar at a certain age have what's called an oath. Basically, it's what you dedicate your life to. And should you fail to uphold that oath, well, you die.
You just keel over?
More or less.
Ugh.
That's
Weird.
why oaths are very important when you want to set them up, because it can be anything, really. It can be something as simple as, I want to maintain the family business, or it can be something as grand as what most soldiers do, and honestly, it's a dirty tactic from, oh, don't get me started, from the military.
Wait,
Convincing...
Wait. So you're saying that, like, an Aasimar could take the oath of never eating gluten again, accidentally eat some wrong bread, and die because of it?
Well, okay. she like spins around. Okay, so
Pretty
maybe
lame oath.
You need to have like a real oath. That's
I
a
took an
real
oath like
cop
that.
out. No, take for example.
No meat, no alcohol.
Yeah, you're an oath. You have oaths.
Yeah.
I think the bigger question here is, why is somebody so upset with somebody who should be dead?
That is what I am most curious about. Oaths are incredibly important, not just because, well, it's what keeps us alive. If an Aasimar does not create an oath at a certain age, well, they feel drained, exhausted. Honestly, it's a form of depression, really, until they give themselves purpose. Honestly, it's pretty heartbreaking, especially when the military uses it to their advantage, where if there are young Aasimar who don't know what they want to do with life and haven't decided on an oath, they, well, trick them into saying, I would like to protect my country, and they become
That's
soldiers.
horrible.
Oh, believe me, I'm well aware, yeah.
That wasn't a judgment on you. That's so despicable. I had no idea.
Yeah. I had a choice in being an outrider. If I didn't have a choice, that'd still be okay because the outriders are great, but...
but you see,
Yes, but I think we all agree that it's very good and correct that you had that choice.
the big difference is the oath is a choice. You don't need to do anything in particular. I mean, eventually you need to make one, and no one was forcing them to join the military, but it's a situation of, well, it's pretty good advertising of, want to be a hero, protect the country, make sure that you are doing the best that you can for everyone around you. It makes them feel important when they've felt nothing for so long, and so
it is actually very clever. The bigger issue is that it's inherently tied to their being.
Yeah, it's clever in the Machiavellian sense.
Yeah, which is what I can appreciate.
I guess that's fair.
Machiavellian, the traditional Tanhauser writer. Do bad things, it'll make you feel good.
Yeah.
Holy shit.
Mercy looks up at the tower. While I hate that thing, I must admit, it has done a few good things. Like, well, she gestures, ruining this class system that we had. And
it was the pits.
At the cost of a lot of people.
Don't get me started on that. I realize it's not a good trade, but if I'm going to look for silver linings in any of this, that's what I have to do.
I think that's one hell of a silver lining.
I have to find one.
I can appreciate seeing the bright side of things. Just, you still have to see the dark side of things.
That's worth remembering as well, yeah. Mercy, have you ever taken an oath yourself?
I have.
Is it rude to ask what that is? I don't want to pry. I ask out of curiosity. If it's personal, please
She
say so.
shakes her head. It's most oaths really aren't that personal, and I appreciate your consideration for it. No, my oath was very simple. I want to protect my family.
Oh. That's a wonderful oath.
And since you're alive, does that mean you're doing it?
She looks down on herself. I guess so. I've made sure that I have a very luxurious position. My family is thankfully nowhere near here, and yeah.
Where do they live? Do they live in a foreign town?
They actually remain in a neutral zone.
Really?
It's... She smiles. They're thankfully safe. So...
That's good for all of you.
It is. Honestly, it's most important that they are all right. Because they are the reason I fight as hard as I do.
I'm sure they will remain perfectly safe. I certainly hope so.
I know so.
Hey, Marcus.
Yeah.
It hits you for the first time. This is... You look at Oathbreaker on the wall, you look at the ruins of the capital, you look at Mercedes, you sort of soak it all in. And today's been a lot. But this is the country...
Bit of a sensory overload, just a bit.
Bit of a sensory overload, but this is the country you ran away from a while ago. This is the country that you turned your back on because the class system was so hideous and oppressive, and because it would not let you be the person you wanted to be. This is a place you turned your back on, and even in looking at this ruin, even at, trying to understand exactly the level of devastation that has occurred within Tanhauser, a thought clicks in your brain, and it is almost like a breath of fresh air, chilling to a certain degree, but there's a certain clarity there. This country has changed. This is not the same country that I left a while ago. You remember back in the camp, just so weird. Honestly, the strangest things just pop. It's strange to see Aasimar working as soldiers like this, holding the line like this, when normally they were sort of given positions higher up in the military. They'd take their oath, and then they'd be given some sort of captainship, lieutenantship. They'd be given these luxurious positions that would enable them to be the boss, but in these circumstances, you have seen so many Aasimar grunts working side by side with humans, side by side with tieflings and the Reforged Legion, and they all seem to be smiling. You can almost sense it to a certain degree. The smothered flame of this country is starting to be reignited. It's a shame it had to be done so in tragedy, but this sensation that's almost welling in your chest right now is almost like a forlorn hope.
I think there's a little bit of pride in there, too, because...
Oh.
Yeah, no. Of course this place has the potential to become better, and I wish that it didn't have to be rooted in hardship like this, but man, is that really heartening to see.
Annie pats you on the back.
Well, she just clears her throat and steps forward. I appreciate everyone taking that moment for me. She looks at Gregor and has a smile. But I think we should continue.
Very well.
I agree. And I think there should be a little bit more cover inside here.
You say that, and as you clear the gate, you start to walk into the city, and you feel almost like you stepped within a barrier, like you just walked into a sweltering room. And that sensation doesn't leave you. And Gregor, you're the first one to notice. Something is watching you with eyes that don't see. Something that was left behind by the Horde, or perhaps existed here all along. A gigantic figure that sits just out of sight, guarding the gates to the capital of Tanhauser. One of these beasts is separate from the pack. It watches you. It watches you almost with a certain degree of intelligence, and you see in its hand a rather large blade. One that sort of matches in size and shape those scratch marks written on either wall.